Internet outrage has destroyed the way we communicate. Everyone's angry, everyone's canceled, and nobody is allowed to think for themselves. So we're here to fix that. Welcome to Subtweet THIS.
What's going on, everyone? My name is Gothix, and welcome back to another episode of Subtweet THIS. We are here with a very special guest, Hotep Jesus. What's going on, Hotep? How are you?
What's up, man? Life is marvelous, marvelous. Couldn't be better.
Really? In this climate, it's marvelous?
Wow. It's even better in this climate.
Okay.
I live for abnormalness and chaos. That's where I usually thrive.
That's like Della, right?
Yeah, you guys would get along great.
He's an agent of chaos, as he says.
I love it. Yeah, like, a lot of people are going to have trouble adjusting to all of this stuff. Mm-hmm. And not me. My stock portfolio is positioned nicely, so none of this stuff will affect me. I have 3 tech companies, and none of this stuff is going to affect my tech companies. And if Biden is in fact going to be inaugurated, we see the disappearance of Black Lives Matter. So I'm happy about that.
Black Lives Matter is already gone.
COVID's going to be gone. Everything's going to miraculously disappear.
Bye, niggas, we out.
Yeah, Black Lives Matter is gone. Antifa's gone. COVID's gone. It's like you got to look at the bright side of things, right?
All right.
Antifa's an idea. What you mean?
Exactly. So those are really good things I want to ask you about. But before we jump into that, tell everyone about yourself. Who is Hotep?
Who am I? I'm a lot of things. I'm so hard to describe because, first of all, I'm an autodidact, right? So I spend a lot of time learning and studying and reading and just trying to learn as much as possible. I come from a semi-affluent Black background. Both my parents made 6 figures, but I got family in the hood, so I got a crossover exposure. Plus, my dad's from Jamaica, so I got immigrant in me. I got like Black American hood and suburban in me. So I have this vast mix of cultures. And I have a lot of sales experience. I'm 40 years old, so I have a lot of like job experience and work experience. And, when I grew up in the 90s, like when you look at, the 2000s, man, 98 to like up until I want to say that decade between 98 and 2008, you could just like quit a job and walk right into another one the same exact day. So the market was great. So I have a ton of job experience. I worked for like a dozen restaurants at least. And then I did mortgages. I come from a computer geek background, so I understand computers very, very well. I used to build them when I was a kid. A tiny bit of programming experience. I was certified by Microsoft at 18 for systems engineer. And then I became a music artist. At the time, I was taking my mortgage money and invested in other artists. I had my own record label, and my artist got incarcerated, and a friend of mine invited me to join a group with him. So I actually became an artist, and then I toured. I had a blog that was doing 1 million hits. I ended up working for 50 Cent, and I launched a brand with Carmelo Anthony. Then I got into tech. So I'm a lot of different things. You know what I mean?
That's pretty dope, though.
You made a light for yourself.
Crazy ass resume.
Yeah, that's pretty cool. Okay.
Yeah, my resume.
But a black man can't make it in America, I was told.
I mean,
it's crazy.
It was very difficult. I can't say I didn't deal with racial barriers. A lot of my racial barriers were more like pandering, right? So like when I worked for 50 Cent, I was working for a startup company. So they would treat me like a black guy who didn't know much because I got in there because of a publicity stunt. So that's how I got in the company. But what a lot of people didn't realize was I wrote the marketing plan, the launch plan for that company. A lot of people didn't realize it until later on. So I'm surrounded by Harvard and Yale grads. And about, I'd say 3 months in, they were coming to me to do their work. Like, yo, I need help on this. I need help on this. So I was helping them because I'd it's like one thing to go to Yale and Harvard. It's another thing when you've actually successfully launched businesses, right? Yeah. So I had that real life experience that you just can't buy at a college. So I was working at this startup. And this is the last startup I worked for. And when I first got there, they wanted me to handle growth. I was in charge of growth for the tech company. It was a mobile gaming app. And I was running the Facebook ads. And the guy asked me, why aren't, a few weeks in, he's like, we had a negative 90 ROI. He's asked me, what's wrong? So I told him, I said, well, you need your Facebook pixels to register every time somebody purchases so we can optimize for purchase conversions. And he didn't take me serious. So I learned through corporate, you got to put things in writing. So I sent an email out to the team. I said, hey, here's why things aren't working. Well, weeks went by and he was on my neck and he's like, yo, things aren't working. So I wrote another email and told him why. And he's like, oh, that can't be it, blah, 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 blah. Fine. So they said they'll implement the purchase conversions in the next iteration of the app. Well, a month later, the next version of the app hits. And I come into work the next day and sales skyrocket. So I walk in and, of course, I got a smile on my face because I already know what happened. And the boss asked me, he goes, why is it working? Why is it working? And I'm like, the purchase conversion thing I told you. He's like, no, that can't be it. So when that happened, I was just like on my way out. And then I had this other time, right? One more story. I was working for a startup. This is Rockefeller Center. And it was two white girls and their daddy was bankrolling the whole situation. This was like a social media app. And I made a tweet go viral from their account. And it turned into 747 downloads. I still remember the number, 747 downloads. So I walk into work the next day, again, smile on my face, knowing I just caused a victory after we hadn't had much happen. And she asked me, what happened? So I'm like, the tweet went viral. Here it is. I showed it to him. She's like, no, that can't be it.
The denial. The denial.
Like, no, that's not it. What you said doesn't work. No way. What do you know?
And I'm just like, wait, you asked me to do a job. Keep in mind, I had a 3-month contract. I made this happen in 2 months.
Damn, bro.
I made the impossible happen over a viral tweet. And then he hit me with that couldn't be it. So I had to spend like half a work day like tracking everything and trying to show them. And they just still wouldn't accept it. And, I hate to pull the racial card, but I feel like if I was some clean cut white guy who didn't have
100%.
dreads, they would have said, oh yeah, great job, but
yeah.
So
100%.
So I learned my lesson and I said, you know what, no more working for startups unless I have a board seat and equity and I'm part owner. Because then you got to listen to me,
That's smart.
And even to have those type of situations, the person would have to take you serious to even offer me equity, to even offer me a board seat. So that's what I do now. I collect tech companies.
Nice.
Wow.
Yeah.
Okay. My resume is nothing compared to that. That is awesome. That's inspirational. Okay.
We even get our names out there. Hi, I'm Saul.
Yeah, do that. Yeah. We just like threw you in here.
How old are you?
I'm 32.
I'm 29.
Classified.
Y'all all look so young.
Yeah. He especially him, he looks like a fetus.
Bro, you say you're 40. You look like
No, the other guy. Yeah. We're I guess we're kind of young. Okay, so we got
y'all are young. Y'all are young
Yeah,
though. Compared to me. Right?
So
yeah.
You're what?
33.
Yeah, y'all are young, man. Things usually start clicking at 33.
Yeah.
That's that magic number. Things didn't click for me until 33. I mean, I had a lot of success before that, but the 50 Cent thing didn't really kick off until 33. And then I'm at 40 now. It's just like,
Nice.
right? The trajectory is just up.
Nice.
I
Yeah.
Yeah.
I can feel it clicking. Okay, it's working. It's getting started. All
You
right.
still got time. Take your time. What you're doing right now is perfect, right? Building your own brand.
Yeah.
That's the way. Don't feel like you got to go resume build, skill build. And what you're doing right now, being content creators, is the future of the world. UBI, AI, taking all these jobs. You'll apply for it now. Apply for a job now, and AI will take your job in 5 years. So screw that. Be a content creator, because that is the future. People are going to be tasked to entertain each other while robots do all the work.
Yeah. So actually, let me piggyback off that really quick. So do you consider yourself a content creator?
No, I don't
Okay.
call myself one, but I am one by default because I create content.
Okay.
And I have an app called Jiffitize, which empowers content creators, allows you to download GIFs and videos directly from the Twitter platform direct to your iPhone. So when you see something go viral, you can snatch it really fast in seconds and bring it right to your phone. So I empower content creators. You know, we have the podcast Hotep's Been Told You every Thursday at 8. And then I have, I do a bunch of interviews on my channel, and I stream chess, and I have and I talk relationships on Wednesdays with Crypto NDO. So I do create content. So technically I'm a content creator.
Okay. Dope.
I would call myself more of an entrepreneur though.
Because that's where I'm like, and I know we're getting off sidetracked already, but like I know that because I'm kind of trying to figure out what the hell I'm supposed to be doing, because I kind of stopped just doing specific gaming streams and I've been doing all these kinds of things, and that's why I find you so fascinating, because you're a jack of all trades. So I always wonder, like when people come to me and they say, "Hey, your content's not the same. What are you doing now?" I'm just like, I have no idea. I'm just going with the flow. Yeah. Okay.
That's good. Yeah. People used to tell me, "Oh, you're a jack of all trades. That's no good. It's not going to work out for you." And my intuition told me, fuck them, right? It was like, do you, bro. Like if you can do everything, do everything. I believe Hunter x Hunter is the anime, and they have these different archetypes of superpowers. And then they have, you know what I'm talking about?
I watch Hunter. Hunter is my favorite anime. So I know the breakdown. Like there's different classifications. So there's different classifications of Hunter class. Now, when you watch the anime, it's like they're just fighting and it's just like they got different type of powers. But when they get that Hunter ID license, they're like, okay, I'm a hunter of fine cuisine. That's all we do. We hunt for exotic cuisine. Then another guy go, I hunt for freaking exotic bugs.
But not that. It's the Nen power.
The Nens?
The
Nens is a whole different. That's a whole 12 episode podcast right there. Nens, it's like Nens is based off of, it's a emitter, enhancer, and conjurer.
Yes.
So emitter, you're able to like emit it. Enhancer, you can enhance your strength, and a conjurer, you could conjure like a weapon. So that's the 3 different classes of Nen types. Yes, I'm a nerd. I watch anime.
And then there's one where you can adapt all 3.
Yes.
Who has that power?
Only one, and that was Karapika. Karapika had all 3.
Karapika has all 3. So I compare myself to Karapika, right? Some people only have one type of Nen power, but Karapika can modify himself for all 3 types of Nen power. And he's one of the most powerful guys in the show. So that's what we are, right? It's like some people are specialists and they're great at that. And when you try to force people who can do everything to be specialists, you're actually taking away from their power. And the other thing is, when you're trying a whole lot of things, that's good, because you're waiting to see what pulls you in. And then that's when you specialize, right? So I was always doing all things, and I found out, we're going to talk about culture, and that whole Trump era came in, and we're talking about politics, and I just stayed in that lane. But I was great in that lane because I understood economics, I understood finance, I understood culture, society, marketing, business, right? So when I'm talking in these circles, I have this wide range of expertise, so I can add to the conversation to where some people are just like, all they can talk is politics. And I study history. I'm a history buff.
That's
Hotep, that's I really could relate to that, but being a jack of all trades, because me, when I was growing up, I always was gonna say I want to just do one thing, but I was doing one thing and it didn't click with me. So then after high school, I just went straight into the military. Okay. And then I did my time in the military, and in the military, you could switch jobs. You could be like, I'm not going to be infantry. I'm going to be this. I'm going to be that. I'm going to be this, that. So then I kind of fell into being an instructor. I'm just like, I like instructing. So after I got out of the military, I was working some odd jobs in a restaurant, cleaning parks, laser tag arena, and all that stuff, and selling energy. Like, I was just learning different things. Yeah. And then I got into like teaching OSHA construction. And then I was like, all right, this is good money for me. All right, I'm gonna start doing this. Then I got into the construction world, where I'm actually a safety manager. Now I'm just like, okay, I'm gonna become a CPR instructor too. So I break up all the different things. And when people hear that, I was like, why are you doing all these different type of classes? You got this, and this. You're a jack of all trades. Like, yes, because I can always go, okay, this is not working out. I'll switch to this now.
Yeah.
Oh, this is working out now, but let me go back to this. Oh, wait, let me just make my own school and combine all the classes together.
Yeah.
And that's
Building
what,
up value.
on the side. Oh, yeah, my value goes up. So on the side, I do have like a school with another guy. So at the end of the day, oh, we need this type of training. Don't worry, I got it. Oh, we need this type of training. Don't worry, I got it.
Yeah.
And it makes me more valuable to a company because at the end of the day, I could go and say, you're going to hire me at X amount. End of story. There's no ifs, buts, and ands.
Yeah. And the thing is about being a jack of all trades, you're going to find later on in life, all those things you were doing was just adding to your skill stack. Like Scott Adams talks about having a skill stack, right? So my background in computers has made it easy for me to adapt to this whole stream in life. And I can build a website. So my brand is popping because I know how to just get in there and do stuff. So all these skills start to complement each other at some point and everything comes to a head. The other thing about being a jack of all trades is, did you ever find that you just got bored with something and it was just time to move on?
Yeah.
Yes.
Right. That's your cue to move on.
Yeah.
And people will make you feel bad for that. Like, why didn't you stick with that? I'm bored with it. It no longer serves me. But what's going to happen is when you go into your next thing, that old thing, you're going to be like, I learned the skill while I was doing that old thing that's helping me in this new thing.
Right.
Yeah.
So just keep rolling, man.
Dope. All right. That's dope. Okay. So now that we talked about that, I have to backtrack a little bit because your name is Hotep Jesus. And I heard you were on the Joe Rogan podcast. And you said that you were given that name. So explain to me what a Hotep is, because I actually saw a few content creators on Twitch who were talking about Hoteps at the beginning of BLM. And according to them, Hotep means they are the black/diet version of white conservatives, a conservative, if you will. This is what I saw. So I want you to tell me, what is a Hotep precisely?
Yeah. So in order to do that, we first have to give you a history of Hotep. So in the 90s, you'll see Tupac Shakur, Queen Latifah, Arrested Development, Black Star with Most Def. There was a strong African consciousness that permeated through the Black community. Y'all was probably kids then, right? And it was very much quote unquote Hotep, where it was about Malcolm X, Marcus Garvey. You know, these are names you're not going to hear from the left unless they find some way to. You won't hear Garvey, that's for sure. To take it back even further, you'd have to look at the fight between Booker T. Washington and W.E.B. Du Bois. And W.E.B. Du Bois would represent the boule or the Black leftists, and Booker T. Washington would be the quote unquote Hotep. So if you really want to know the origins, you'd have to study that dynamic. You have Marcus Garvey, who comes here from Jamaica and gets extradited. W.E.B. Du Bois and them have him locked up and put in jail. Black leftists. So this fight between the left and the so-called right in the Black community has existed for over 100 years. And what you're seeing is just a continuation of that, where they try to demonize what some would call right-wing thought or conservative thought. Conservative is more like a ideology, I guess you can say, right? So we got Shahrazad Ali, we got John Henry Clark, Dr. Ben, Dr. Tony Martin, Umar Johnson might fall under that, Shaka Akmos, Dr. Kaba Khamenei. These are names you won't hear from a Black leftist. They don't follow this school of thought, Dr. Sebi. And we're really like, let's remove white people from the equation completely and focus on ourselves. Whereas the leftists like to complain about white supremacy. White supremacy this, white supremacy that. Now, let me give you some more history. Back in the 80s and 90s, you had the Nuwapians, you had the Moorish Science Temple, you got the 5% movement. The Moorish Science Temple comes up from under Noble Drew Ali. You got the Nation of Islam. You got the Fruit of Islam. You got a brother by the name of Khalid Muhammad. Now, Khalid Muhammad, there's some controversy about his death, but after his speech at Kane University, he was basically ostracized from society. He was also removed from the Nation of Islam. But we come from that school of Khalid Muhammad. In order to understand us, you got to understand the people we study. Khalid Muhammad did a speech once on police brutality. Police brutality is not new. And Khalid Muhammad doesn't deny what happens with white people, what they do to us. But his protocol was rank and badge number. We're behind enemy lines. So if you get pulled over by a cop, the only thing you give them is your rank and badge number. You don't argue and do all these things that people tend to do, which gets them shot. You operate as if you're behind enemy lines. So the Hoteps, we very much focus on what do we do to make the situation better, because we're not trying to change the system or change white people. Whatever they're going to do, they're going to do. Whatever the system's going to be, that's what they're going to be. So we focus on ourselves. So when Mike Brown, Trayvon Martin, and all of them were murdered, Tamir Rice were murdered, one of the things I said was, let's boycott the NFL. And the reason why I said that was because I knew that the so-called white supremacist structure, TV, runs off of the NFL. The NFL fuels this entire nation from an entertainment perspective. And a lot of people don't know that. News depends on the NFL. You'll see a spike in their ratings during the NFL season. You look at Twitter on Sundays and it's just, right? America runs on the NFL. And you know what they said to me? I was crazy. Now we fast forward, and what happened? You got Colin Kaepernick taking a knee, and all of that stuff happened. Another thing I said was, let's boycott Nike. And they said, oh, no, we ain't boycotting Nike. You know, black people love Nike. And I said that because I ran into
I get them J's.
Right. I said that because I ran into a piece of information. It's called Behind the Swoosh. It's a documentary called Behind the Swoosh. And it has pictures or video footage of black women in an Asian nation working for less than $2 a day making these sneakers. And I said, I'd be a hypocrite to call myself conscious and still support this entity. I know everything here is made in sweatshops from China, but we had to choose let's go for the top guy, and that's Nike. So I said that, and they're like, oh, get out of here. I'm like, all right, cool. What about let's stop eating fried chicken? Well, you know, black folks ain't giving up fried chicken. So I became an enemy with all these solutions, right? And I was saying the onus is on us to let's just divest. And then I said, buy black. And they're like, oh, you can't do it through black capitalism. And I'm just like, what? Like, I didn't get it. So Trump decides to run. And I got introduced to conservatism and republicanism for the first time in my life. All my life, I was told Republicans were racist. And to me, I just thought all white people were racist. I didn't think that a Democrat was any different than a Republican, right? But, you know, so when Trump ran, he was running on the media's fake news. And I'm like, yes, finally somebody said it, right? Because before that, the only time I heard it was from people like Alex Jones. And I used to tell people like, yo, turn the TV off. That was one of my big mantras coming up. Before I was even Hotep Jesus, I used to tweet almost on a daily basis, turn the TV off. And people used to say I was crazy for that. I used to lose followers by the dozens when I said, turn off the TV, turn off the TV. So when Trump came up and he said fake news, I said, yes. Now, keep in mind, I'm following what the Clinton Foundation is doing. And I seen this, the fuckery they pulled in Haiti. So when I seen black people supporting this, I'm like, yo, wait, what are y'all doing? It's the lady that caused problems in Haiti and the money. And if y'all go to Haiti, they don't like this woman. Like, where are we at right now? Right? Like, who are we supporting? This is the same woman that called us super predators. And I'm like, and y'all loved Trump before with the rappers. And I'm just like,
he's a racist out of nowhere now.
Right. So then when I wouldn't say align myself with him, but when I started, you know, saying like, this is a better president option than Hillary, that's when the whole comparison to white conservatives came down the pike. So I was like, you know what? I'm going to ally with them. I'm going to ally with these white conservatives. So I did that and we got very close, right? Keep in mind, prior to this, I didn't like white people. I hated white people, right? I didn't have a single white friend before this. And then I went through a spiritual awakening and said I had to love all people. So when I came to this whole conservative thing, I had removed that white hate from me. So I was able to now talk to white people. Before that, my following was all black. So then people were like, yo, you changed. But my message stayed the same. Screw Nike. I still ain't watching football. I'm still not watching TV. And I'm still focused on black economics. But the left is controlled by leftists. They're controlled by socialists. And, oh, it's upstairs. The book by Manning Johnson shows you how the leftists and the socialists use black problems to push that communist agenda in America. For example, if anybody ever studied Walter E. Williams or Thomas Sowell, like Thomas Sowell
yeah.
is an
know about
icon
him.
to white folks, right?
Yep.
He's an icon to white folks. You can't find Thomas Sowell. I typed in all of the black outlets, Black Enterprise, Ebony, Essence. These magazines I thought I wanted to be on the cover of when I got older. I went and typed in Thomas Sowell and you can't find anything on this man. And I'm like, yo, here's one of the greatest economists of all time, black man. And he did nothing. So anyway, he came under the school of Walter E. Williams, and Walter E. Williams wrote a book about South Africa. So when we look at the history of minimum wage is actually racist. What happened was they created minimum wage because black people were undercutting the market. We came in under cheap labor. So when they installed minimum wage, we could no longer compete by price. And it started in South Africa and they did it here in America. So when black people over here pushing this socialist agenda, I'm like, yo, this is the same thing they use to price us out of the market. Right. So we'd end up on the unemployment line. So we'd end up needing welfare. But these people don't understand economics. And they think that minimum wage is the way. And truthfully, if you took all of these restrictions, you know what else minimum wage does? It makes it so that kids in high school can't get a job, which is why you see old folks working at Walmart right now, right? Right. Kids can't get those jobs because you can't pay them under the table or a lesser amount. And then what does it do to the black entrepreneur? The black entrepreneur, if he gets caught paying his cousin less than minimum wage, he gets hit with a fine from whatever agency is governing that thing. SEC, I don't know who it is. So it's actually putting restrictions on small business. It's putting restrictions on the middle class, which is stopping your upward mobility. But they think it's hurting the corporations. The corporations can afford. The corporations are the one lobbying for this stuff because it destroys competition, because competition comes from innovation. But if people can't work their way up and even get the business off the ground by hiring a couple people, like what if I told you, hey, look, I can cover your lunch and gas. They're legislating that out. And what that does is it destroys your ability to earn skills. Because let's say you work under me, Hotep Jesus, for a bus pass or a train pass and lunch. By the time I'm done with you in a year, you could go get that $50,000 job. You can go get that $70,000 job. So you might have took a pay cut for this first year, but next year you're good. You got a salary and I'm going to push you. I'm going to write the letter of recommendation, but I can't even hire you because I can't afford to pay minimum wage. And these people don't understand economics, so they don't see how this stuff is hurting. And when you say economics, the first thing they say, oh, it's capitalism is racist. It's just like, oh my God, you guys don't know shit.
I can't stand that, to be honest. And did you notice that you were kind of getting this comments more when you found yourself a little bit aligning yourself more with conservative views? One of the things that I definitely wanted to talk about with you is because I see your retweets and everything, just hilarious, man. Where you go like, oh, Democrats leading black people into the ballots.
You're a good troll, I have to say.
So it's just like, I don't know, like you definitely noticed that when the election was going on, how you see like really hardcore leftists saying the most racist shit, and how it's, within the black community, of course, if you don't think a certain way, you get judged right off the bat. It's just like, if you don't think a certain way, you like it, like if you ain't kinfolk, like if you ain't, what's the old saying? It's just like we're not a monolith. Yeah.
Not all skin folk is kinfolk.
Right,
yeah. So it's just like, do you think like this trend it's gonna get worse before it gets better? Like I know that this animosity has always been within the black community, but for some reason I feel like it's kind of like at its peak right now.
Oh no! Like I said, this history is over 100 years old. Technology is just making it more in your face. It's making it more apparent, and it's just going to keep happening over and over again. So you got to understand is the fact that the media has such a stronghold over our people. Tradition is something that's can be a crippling. They have a tradition of being so-called liberal, voting down ballot. Like voting down ballot just sounds ignorant, you know what I mean? But I bought this book from Harvard because I wanted to learn how to negotiate, because I sucked at negotiating at one point. So I was like, what am I doing wrong? I wasn't negotiating the right contract. So I read this book on negotiation. And, one of the things I learned was you need two parties in order to negotiate, right? So to start a bidding war. If you ain't got a B option, you can't negotiate well. You can negotiate because you can fake like you got a B option, but you can't negotiate real well. So if I say, yo, I got Democrats on the left side and Republicans on the right side, but if the Democrats know I'm never going to look at the Republicans, I have no negotiating leverage. They have to have the fear that I'll go to another record label, for example. You see this with artists. Artists don't get the contract they want until they start a bidding war, right? But that's because you have options. Black people have removed their options, which is why we have no room for negotiation. And that's basic negotiating tactics, is to have options. But when people know, like, oh, they not going to vote Republican, we don't got to do nothing for them. So they take us for granted. And you see what our communities look like, so on and so forth. And I brought this up in the voice chat app, and they really had no rebuttal for me when I brought that up. The leftists, I'm outnumbered in there, and they had no rebuttal for that. When I said, for example, I was in another room and they're like, oh, democracy. And I'm like, democracy works against the minority, right? Like it technically means majority rules. It's majority mob rule. And if black people are a minority in America, the last thing you want is democracy. And America is not a democracy. It's a republic, which is why we have the electoral college, right? That's exactly why it's set up. There's a reason why they made us 3/5 of a man, because America's not a democracy. So when I said that, she sent me back down to the audience, so I couldn't rebuttal. And then she said, oh, well, things are not perfect. And then she glazed over the point. So the thing is, these people, and I can't get a leftist to come on my channel. I can't get a leftist to bring me on their channel, because when the people in the middle who actually want to have information and get to the bottom of this, when they hear common sense, they start questioning these other people. So the problem with the black community is they're not presented people like me, all right? Ebro says, I'm banned from Hot 97. I had an interview at Hot 97 set up. I tweeted I was on my way there. 5 minutes later, the person running the interview called me up and said the interview was canceled. And there was no rescheduling involved. So I was banned from Hot 97. Roland Martin covered a debate I did, but he won't bring me on his channel. None of these leftists will bring me on the channel, but I can do the greatest podcast in the world, Joe Rogan. I can do the greatest Bitcoin podcast in the world, Peter McCormick. So all these white people have given me a microphone, but black leftists won't, right? They won't have a conversation with me. I said, Mark Lamont Hill, come talk to me. He wouldn't talk to me, but he'll go talk to Candace Owens, right? Because she's got the huge platform. But he came in my mentions after I said I wanted to talk to a black leftist, but then he turned me away because he knew if he had a conversation with me, he'd have to confront the truth. And that's what Hoteps are. We confront the truth, and we present all sides of the argument. And it's not to say some of the gripes that leftists have are wrong. I think police brutality, a lot of these things are a problem. But, one of the things I said was, why don't you just police yourself? The problem with that is, though, a black man's going to whoop your ass, and now you won't be able to scream racist. Right? Because there's a book and a movie called The Experiment. Have you ever seen that?
The Experiment?
Okay. The Experiment. And it's based upon, I believe it was a true story. What they did was they grabbed two groups of men and they put them in a fake prison, and they told them for a set amount of days, you have to follow the protocol of how a prison would run. So you had your CEOs and you had your inmates. Man.
I did see that movie. I know you're talking about now.
With Forrest Whitaker.
Yes.
And
there was somebody else.
It was a couple of good actors in that movie.
And it's just like they took it upon themselves, and then the chaos that happened. It's like you were given, you guys set it up the way you want, how you guys feel it works, and run with it. And it was like a fight. It's like, I'm gonna be the warden. So I was like, the guy's like, no, fuck you. And it's like people started dying and everything. It's like the guys who were warden were getting killed, and it was I'm the warden now. It was like it's a really good movie. Yeah, it was a great movie. The rules were, there was lockdown at a certain time, this, that, and the third. But all parties knew this was an experiment. So it all started with one guy kind of moving into the cell a little slow. So the guy's like, yo, come on, like, hurry up. And then he pushes him. But if you know it's an experiment, like, y'all don't even technically have to follow these rules. You could just be like, yo, we're going to kick it and play cards this whole time, right? Yeah. Like, we're all people here. But it just goes to the fact that what happens when you give people power, what happens psychologically. And that's what people don't understand about police is they're given too much power, and they're not psychologically assessed. They're not trained properly to even take on that role. So people think it's racism, and that might play a role. But really the problem is how much power they have and how little training it is. For example, when I talk about communism
I said, do you realize it's easier to be a cop than it is to be a cosmetologist? It's easier to get a gun and shoot somebody than it is to do somebody's hair. You actually got to go through more hours of training to do hair than you do to be a cop. And then black people are like, you know, communism's great. No, communism is the thing that set those barriers in place so Letitia can't do hair out of her house.
So why I don't get why people think communism is great when we see like countries that did run on communism suck.
They keep saying, "Oh, it's not the right type of communism, or it hasn't been tried yet, or something."
Like Russia ran as a communist state, and they were poor, and it fucked up. I believe China was a communist. Was China a communist state? It still is a communist state. And in China, is it like you can't have more than a certain amount of kids or they kill them?
I don't know if they kill them.
They used to pay a fine. They used to pay a fine.
Yeah. So,
but they took that away now.
I just don't understand where we see like other countries.
I'll tell you.
Where people are coming, when people leave that country to come to America because like it sucked over there and I could have a better opportunity here because you guys got a 2-party system that's fun.
Because they never read 1984. They never read Gulag Archipelago. They never studied Alexander Solzhenitsyn. They never studied economics, right? You see, what socialists do is they appeal to emotion, and that's it, right? It's just emotion, and you're not going to be presented with any facts or any alternative arguments. The playbook is actually to, who was the guy that wrote the playbook on this? It's slipping my mind right now. It'll come to me later. But the playbook is basically to not even listen to counter arguments. It's not even to give them a stage, give counter arguments a stage. It's to shut it down. As soon as they start speaking, shut it down, shut it down, shut it down. You hear them saying this at the protest, shut it down, shut it down. They train these people at the college, right? So the indoctrination happens in college. So the more educated the Negro is, the less of a black man he becomes. Communist, they become socialists at these universities, and that's what the problem is. Anytime you look at these blue check Negroes, anytime you look at these fools, they all have BAs. They all have college degrees, every last one of them, and they're just paper on the wall Negroes, and that's the problem because even if you, for example, we got Hoteps in college right now, and to be a good teacher, you have to allow your students to argue, and you have to allow your students to look at both sides. So when you got Hoteps coming in and saying, well, there might be some room to argue about this Biden-Trump thing, and the teacher shuts them down or gives them a failing grade on the essay because they don't agree. The institutions don't even allow free thought. The teachers don't allow the kids to counter argument. You know, I have a class every Saturday, and I open up myself to argument because I want to learn. So I say, if you find something that you don't think is right, show me the other side of the argument. Let's walk down that lane, and I'll even agree to disagree. You cannot get a leftist to agree to disagree. You just get combat, and they don't deal with facts. They don't deal in reality, and all of their comments are viscerals.
Holy shit, I'm hearing all of this, and then I'm just like, based on like the things that I've been thinking, like this whole, like everything that you said, I'm just like, is this me? Like, am I looking at myself right now? It's wild. I don't know. Maybe I'm a Hotep.
You might be.
Listen, don't make me get the hat out.
Oh my God, yo, he got the.
Don't make me get the hat.
That's so funny that you.
I got the hat. Listen, it's right.
It's a little bit of Hotep in all of us.
Yeah,
that's what we say.
It's funny that you bring that up because I always talk about how we've basically lost the art of having a conversation, and I know that you definitely, one of your main platform that you really like, you have a book on, is how to be successful, like get a cult-like following on Twitter. And I want to ask, like, with the climate that we have in Twitter now, where cancel culture is kind of rampant, and just the art of conversation is not, like, it's just not there. Do you still feel like it's kind of easy to have that type of success on Twitter, where conversations just being shut down before it's even started?
Yeah, I don't have conversations on Twitter. I just troll, right?
He's like, fuck all that noise. Fuck that shit.
Yeah. You want to have a conversation, come on one of my podcasts and we can have a real conversation. In fact, people are always shocked because, they see my Twitter and then they jump into one of my interviews and they're like, wait, who is this guy? I didn't get this from his Twitter. And it's because Twitter is just not the place for that. So the name of the guy was Saul Alinsky, and it's called Rules for Radical. And rule number 5 was ridicule a man's most potent weapon, right? So the argument comes up, and instead of facing the argument, for example, if I say, hey, we should try out black economics. So what you'll do is you'll say, that's rooted in white supremacy. And that's a trigger word in your follower's mind. So it goes on, it says, there is no defense. So they don't defend their side. And he continues, he said, it is almost impossible to counterattack ridicule. And he's right. Also, it infuriates the opposition who then react, which is to your advantage. And that's the situation the right is in. They're trying to battle this thing with logic. And then as soon as you come with your logic, they're like, racist.
Yep.
White supremacist.
White supremacist.
Coon.
Anti-black. Okay.
Anti-black.
Anti-black. Yeah. Homophobe. Right. And that's directly from Rules for Radical by Saul Alinsky. And this is the playbook in which they take these people into meetings and they teach them this. Now, they don't show them it's from Rules for Radicals by Saul Alinsky. They just brainwash them with that type of thing. Right. So, for example, let's say we were to sit in one of these classes and I'm like at a BLM meeting and let's say I'll give you two scenarios. One is like somebody hops up and they say, hey, you know, what about trying this? The whole room will ridicule and ostracize that person. So everyone else who even thought about trying to bring a counter argument understands that I will be ostracized. So that's not allowed. The other thing is they'll just give them the arguments right away and say, hey, look, if somebody brings this up, this is rooted in white supremacy. They won't tell you the tactics behind doing that, but they'll just say they're going to talk about black economics. And then I'll say black economics equals white supremacy. Capitalism equals white supremacy. And then this equals racism. So the people in that meeting are writing this down like, OK, yeah, that's rooted in white supremacy. OK, right. But the tactics aren't given to them. The people at the front of the room are given them those tactics. So coming back to your question about conversation, you can't have a conversation with these people. It's impossible. You in fact, in this book right here, Michael Malice, The New Right, he even says it's a waste of your time. So when people come in my mentions trying to argue, I just hit the block button. I don't have time. I don't have time because you're trying to argue logic with emotion. And I always tell them, yo, go get your boss. Go get your best blue check and tell them come debate me. And they disappear. There's not a soul on it. And they know I exist because they've covered me when I've had negative press, right? I did Fox News. NBC won't see me, CBS, none of these stations to come talk to me. But I can get every podcast in the world. I'm highly requested. But the leftists won't talk to me. And it's because they can't allow those people in the middle, their audience, to even hear that argument. Because if they do, we'd flip so many minds. But you know, Twitter's not the place to have conversations at all. I always say if you want to have a good conversation, ask questions. So when somebody enters my mentions, if they're not asking questions from a place of honesty, I usually just don't respond. You know, for example, they'll say, don't you think this is white supremacy? And whenever somebody phrases a question with don't you think and try to lead you in a direction, they're not asking from a place of honesty and wanting to learn. They're trying to force their opinion on you. And it's just blatant ignorance. But Twitter's not the place to have those conversations. I'd rather just say, hey, you know, and you know, sometimes I'll be on Twitter, and I used to do this a lot back in the day. When I first got my YouTube platform, I'd say they'd come in my mentions. I say, yo, we could debate right now on YouTube. What's your time like? Gone, poof.
I've tried doing the same shit, and they usually disappear, or they'll block me, and I'm like, wait, what happened?
They say I don't got the time. They'll be like,
I don't got the time for this. But wait,
I don't want to give you clout. No.
Yeah, they'll be like, oh, you guys are Nazis. And I'm like, all right, tell me how. Nah, I ain't got the time. It's like the fuck.
Right. Yeah. In fact, Torre.
Oh yeah, Torre.
You know Torre, that fool. He still follows me. And he accidentally followed me because I was going in on white conservatives. I had a whole rant where I was going in on white conservatives and their shortcomings. So he followed me thinking I'm one of them. Right? He thinking I'm one of his, right? So he even DM'd me and he said like, you know, whatever. And then some exchange happened on Twitter. So I went to his DM and I said, hey, let's have a conversation about it. He was like, when? I said, Friday. You know, what's your Friday looking like? And he said, yeah, okay, I'm down. Hour later, he comes back. He goes, yeah, we're going to have to circle back on this. I don't have bandwidth for this.
Bandwidth? What the fuck it was? You living in a hut? I'm sorry. That's offensive. I'm sorry. That's wrong. Is he living next? I don't fucking know. Is he living like in a cave or some shit? I don't got the,
I want to find the exact thing, the exact verbiage.
that's
I don't
so-
have the bandwidth for that.
It's so wild
got the
because
bandwidth.
just to interject really quick while you look that up, because like we've gotten comments about our podcast and how we don't have a diverse set of guests as far as like diverse thoughts, and I'm like, that's not intentional. We try reaching out to people on the left and we just get shut down.
We all think differently.
Yeah.
So it's just like we try to have those conversations. You know, when people just have like broad statements like, well, you know, it's bad for black people with this. And like we try to bring those conversations like, okay, can you tell me why though? Because we have these
Yeah.
people that just say general statements like, you know, oh, it's harder for black people to do this and do that. And it's like, all right, can you counter this argument with like, you know, some facts or just having a conversation? And we get shut down all the time, and then we get called anti-black. We just have people that beg for that victimization, and it's just so odd. And it's just like, you know, how we talk about we're just not for certain things, like, you know, when it comes to affirmative action, or we, you know, how it's just like some handouts, and people want that. People want segregation, all black graduations, all black dorms, and then we get called anti-black. We're like, are we in the fucking Twilight Zone? Like, what's going on? Like we had MLK and people in the civil rights movement that was just fighting against this shit. Like, we wanted everything to be our space, but we're asking for safe spaces. That shit don't make sense. It's like it's like a smack to their face. Like, that's not what they wanted. That's what they fought for. But nah, we need this now. We need this place for black people. It's just, I don't know. It's odd. We get called all kinds of shit.
You know, it pisses me off, you know, when you see those videos where they go, oh, we're going to go talk to some Trump supporters. And they know they go to the Trump supporters that aren't very well educated, that say some of the wildest things. You ever see some of those videos? The guy's like, oh, you know, how you feel about Obama during 9/11? Oh, Obama was he wasn't even there. He didn't even care. It's like
Daily Show,
Obama,
yeah.
he was off golfing. It's like Obama wasn't even the president during 9/11.
Yeah, exactly.
Like you know who I feel like there's people, they know who to target. Like
Yeah.
they go to certain states and they go, that man doesn't look like he has all the crayons in his box. Let's ask him stuff. And when he
Right.
says like the wild shit, it's like, look, all Trump supporters are stupid. You can do
Right.
the same shit to the Democrats. You can go speak to somebody who don't know dick from dick and ask them the same question. And I'm like, oh, well, yeah, it's like you said, white supremacy, the white man. It's like, both of you guys sound stupid. You're both stupid. Red, blue, stupid.
Right.
When you go, if you were to go and interview somebody who is who's well educated, can't talk politics on both sides, your YouTube content is gonna be completely different, or you'll fail, because all you're doing is want to make fun at one side.
Yeah.
And when we do this podcast, we're not trying to make fun of one side. We're making fun. I make fun of both sides. We make fun of all sides.
You're right.
But the thing is, when the left, we try to go, hey, come on this podcast. Let's have this conversation. I don't got time for that. Oh, you guys go research it. No, I'm not giving you clout. Like, so when we just have right-wing people coming over and saying, listen, I want to have this conversation because I feel like we can have this conversation, and I want to let people know this is why I support X person, and so forth and so on. It's, oh, how dare you have a Trump supporter on your podcast? Like, well, you get the fuck on the podcast then.
Yeah.
Yeah, come on down.
Like, when you go like, how can you, instead of, you know, why do you? It just automatically shuts down the conversation. We get that shit all the time. And it's funny that you brought up when, like, you know, when you like when you get like leftists or like hardcore right or hardcore left people. One of the things I wanted to bring up for sure is because I mean, I laugh at that video with the Starbucks thing. It's hilarious.
Yeah.
And we see run rampant, especially with our friends. Some people have actually distanced themselves from us. And white guilt is hit hard with a bunch of friends that we have.
Oh, yeah.
His eyes got big with that. I mean, yeah, you could say white guilt when it comes to Starbucks thing, because that shit was basically hilarious. So it's just, I don't even know how to ask the question. I was like, let's just say with this Biden presidency, do you see that just getting worse, or it's I mean,
that's
if anything,
gonna go
it's
away.
better. It's gonna magically go away. White guilt's gonna
Everything's
magically
gonna
go
go back to goddamn Jim Crow. Jim Crow Joe. Yeah, that's what black people fail to realize. Black Lives Matter is gonna fade into, because as with the Democrat presidency, you're faced with two decisions. If Black Lives Matter is rallying, then Biden's not doing a good job.
Right.
Right? Now, we know a police brutality case is going to happen. It's inevitable. And it's going to get caught on a phone. And it's going to go viral. And you're going to watch the media go back to the 90s to when they ignored us. Forget the 90s. This is what people don't understand about Black Lives Matter. Under Obama's presidency, Black Lives Matter was demonized. It wasn't paraded, and it was hidden too. It was, they wouldn't talk about it. They wouldn't show the protests. People were like, why is there a media blackout on this stuff? But when Trump came around, it was like, oh, we can use them now, right? So then Black Lives Matter had a spotlight. So Antifa and Black Lives Matter under Biden is going to fade into irrelevancy. And then when you see something happen and it goes viral, Black people are going to ask themselves, why isn't the media covering this? It's because it's going to go against their agenda. So then Black people are going to be back at the point wondering, what do we do next election?
Yeah.
And you know what they're going to do?
The exact same fucking shit.
They're going to vote for a new Democrat and be in the same exact spot.
I mean, Ice Cube said, like, hold your votes. Don't make them work for your vote.
I thought that was
Have them show something. And the
I think Q might have alluded to it too.
Yeah.
They said that you could tell no parties actually give a shit because look at Flint, Michigan. Flint, Michigan is a perfect example of no party giving two fucks.
Here go Obama and Flint.
I was about to say when you drink your water. Yo.
For what? For what?
What water?
Oh my god! Yo, I saw. Oh.
This water tastes good. Ain't nothing wrong with this water. You niggas better stop complaining about this water.
You talk about when Biden gets in office, the water's gonna be clean. I don't know what everyone's talking about right here.
Like everybody think, Biden's in office now. Peace and love is gonna be no shit. Ain't shit gonna change.
And that's what
gonna hold him accountable.
And that's what I loved about Trump presidency. As much as I hated Black Lives Matter, I was like, it kind of feel good to have white folks on their tippy toes around me, being all extra nice. I was enjoying that shit. Getting free Starbucks coffee. I'm like, damn.
Wait, you got Starbucks for free?
Huh?
You got Starbucks coffee for free?
Bro, yeah, give my reparations. Yeah.
I say, yo, get my reparations coffee. My free coffee. Yeah, that would have never happened in the 90s. They would have said, nigga, get your ass out of here. Are you serious? So I was as much as I hated Black Lives Matter for what they stand for and what they're trying to bring into communism and socialism, how they put white people on their heels had me like, this shit feel kind of good to be, king of the world for 4 years. Like, oh, black people we had black privilege for 4 years. And I enjoyed that shit. But under Biden, it's like, damn, I'm back.
You gotta go back.
You just out back to being in the bus.
I'm in the back of the bus now.
God damn.
Let me read that. Let me read this DM from Tori, just so you can see how I came to this. June 9th, 2020. I forget how we got into this exchange. I said, are you free tonight? That was at 2:41. And I thought about it. I said, let me give him some options. 2:44, I said, or tomorrow at 7 p.m. or Friday at 9 p.m. June 9th, 10:51 p.m. Give me a minute to figure out what I can do. June 10th, 2020, 12:55 a.m. that night. I said, okay. June 10th, 9:24 p.m. Any update on this? His response, I don't think I can do this. There's a lot going on over here. When I first responded, I thought you wanted a little Twitter convo. Maybe later we can talk more.
Oh, I see. So you wanted to act tough in front of your followers. That's the impression that I'm getting by
You want
that.
to have...
You wanted a public display.
But think about that. He thought, why would we schedule a Twitter conversation?
Right.
It's like a school fight. You never had a school fight? You're like, yo, outside 3 p.m. and you got your friends like, yo, hit him, bro. Yeah, I'm gonna hit him. I'm gonna hit him. Hit him, bro. Hit him. You're like, yo, I don't think I want to do this.
You want to slap box, man. That's all I want to do. It's just slap box.
I just wanted to play. Like, listen, I didn't mean all that. Now you getting hurt. Now you gotta have a one-on-one. Your boys ain't behind you, so you shook now. But
Right,
your boys
and
is all behind you.
And that's evidence of his cowardice because he couldn't just come out and say, I'm not going to do this. He tried to even lie. And usually lies come from fear. And he lied and said, I just thought you wanted a Twitter convo. What? You don't schedule Twitter convos? Like, what do you?
That's ready to be at 3 p.m.
This ain't a Reddit AMA. Like, what are you talking about, bro?
Sounds like an aggressive ass dude. Like one of his latest things was like, well, it's like all the people that voted for Trump. I hope you're suffering. I hope you're going through English and all that type of stuff. I'm like, damn man, that's so much hate.
Tough dudes don't talk like that.
Yeah.
I know a lot of tough dudes. A lot of tough dudes. They don't talk like that. They some of the most coolest cats online. Like I had Cooley on my broadcast, and when you do something wild to him, his first response is strike one. That's what he says to you. And when you do something again, he says strike two. And you do something again, he says, all right, strike three, where we meeting? There's no talk with tough guys. It's either we gonna do this or shut up. but don't run your mouth. Whereas when you see people talking all that tough talk, they're not tough guys. They're usually really soft.
Oh, we saw that at TwitchCon, remember? All those dudes was talking hot shit, and I was there. Me and Saul was ready. I was like, oh, you're not gonna say. They just look at you like.
Let me tell you a quick story. So, last year I got dragged by Black streamer Twitter on Twitch.
Oh yeah, let them know.
And
Because they're all leftists.
yeah, I understand that now. Back then, I'm like, what the fuck is wrong with me? Like, I don't get it.
Playing games.
So I had a lot of people come at me and, call me anti-black coon, all this, that, and the other. And there was this one guy in particular that was really going hard. Like, every time he would stream, he would talk shit about me. He photoshopped the Donald Trump hat on me at one point, which is ironic because I had my political awakening this year. So I don't look at Trump the same way as I did. But in any case, he was just ragging on me. And then when we went to TwitchCon, I remember being in like a hallway and he was like right there. And this whole summer, he was talking all this shit and like, I can't wait to get the scoop on her. I can't wait to drag her like in person or whatever. And then when we go there, I got these two with me. Nothing. Silence. No eye contact. Like, what happened?
I mean, we definitely wanted to do something too. We were just like, we would just look at, how you just look at, just like.
And I was anxious the whole time. I'm like, damn, I'm gonna go there. I'm gonna get beat up. Like, I'm not, and nothing. Silence.
Please listen, motherfuckers are all keyboard warriors. I'm about that smoke. I grew up in I'm from the hood. Just do it. Stop talking to me. I listen. I don't talk well with my mouth. I'm not good with words, but I talk real good with my fucking hands. I speak sign language. Let's go. That's it. I tell people that shit too.
You want to tell them like kind of like that situation and.
Yeah, that's a good segue into this last question that I got for you. So the reason that I got canceled. So did you hear about the Little Mermaid and how they're doing a live action movie?
Mm-mm.
Okay, so the Little Mermaid in the cartoon is white, but they're doing a live action and she's black now.
Oh, right. Okay. Yeah.
So I remember right when that got announced, I went on Twitter and I saw people on the left accusing people on the right of being racist because they had like weird feelings about them tokenizing a character. And I was just like, let's not assume that people are racist. Let's not start throwing the race card out there. And from my perspective, if we talk about like black empowerment, I find it odd that a company would just recycle a movie and just paint a character black instead of giving us something original, right? Mm-hmm. So that's what I got dragged for. So my segue into this question is, how do you feel about tokenizing in general? Because I definitely see a lot more of it lately.
Can you define tokenizing for me, please?
So recently they changed Batwoman. The actress was white, now is a black female. Certain characters that were predominantly a white character in comics and cartoons and stories are now made just as black people now. So it's just changing them. Instead of giving us our own new character or doing stories on characters already established, it's just like, no, we just changed them and now look here.
Yeah. First of all, it's really foolish to want to be Batman and like all these fake characters. What we have to first understand is that these, and I know people that work at Disney, right? High up. And the companies are too afraid to take a risk on anything that's not an established story or brand, right? So Little Mermaid has been proven, time and tested. All right, here's a story. We know it works. Let's just remix the bitch, right? And that's what these content conglomerates do. They just remix some shit and just spit it back out at you instead of trying to come up with something new, right? Coming up with a great new story and empowering new content creators and taking a chance on a lot of new content creators and ideas they have. They won't take a chance. They'd rather take the budget and put it behind something that's already proven, which from a business sense, I totally get it. It works. But from a creative perspective, it goes against everything that creatives believe in. You got to understand that when you take that role, the white man giving you leftovers. That's it's like it's like after he finished eating and you give the bones to the dog, that's y'all. When the white man giving you the bones, like, all right, we done finished eating off this Little Mermaid thing. Here, you can have the bones now, niggas.
Sloppy seconds.
Yeah.
It's just
Yeah, you
like
get sloppy
we deserve.
seconds.
She was basically saying we deserve more than that. It's just like, first of all, it shouldn't be the point of a great character. Like, it shouldn't be like, oh, they're great because they're black. No, it's like, no, we made a great character that just so happens to be black. So
But
like,
I mean,
they concentrate on that.
But look at the history of comics. We've always had black characters in comics.
100%.
And we've had great ones too. Spawn was black.
I love Spawn.
Icon,
Love
Mr.
Spawn.
Terrific,
Like,
Brother Voodoo, Blue Marble.
I can't name one superhero in any arc that could whoop Spawn's ass. Who gonna fight Spawn?
Not even God was able to defeat him.
Exactly. Exactly.
He went against
He was
God.
God
He
at
went
one point.
God and the devil and smacked both of them.
Yep. The creator he
you-
went against. Yeah.
So how do you want any other role other than the black man that kicked God ass? You settled for Batwoman and Little Mermaid when we could have had Spawn, my nigga.
And what pisses me off too, like we have like a super. You ever heard of a superhero called Icon? Okay, so Icon was pretty much the black Superman. So he was from a dying planet. He landed on Earth during slavery. He was picked up by slaves. He was working at a plantation, and then he was like, I'm not like these people. I'm like super strong and vulnerable. He had these powers. So he's like, I'm gonna help free these guys. Help start freeing slaves, work with Harry Tubman, fought in the Civil War. He went through all the Great Depression and all that stuff. He was there with the movements, right? Became a lawyer. And one of the issues, like these kids I think it was like Harlem, and these kids broke into his office. And he's like, you're not gonna do this to me. Like, why are you doing this? I'm one of you. And he took him in. He took one of these kids in. She had powers too. But the thing is, like, that is a superhero that went through slavery and prospered, and he was trying to help the youth. Look at Luke Cage. Luke Cage's whole thing was like, my people, I'm looking out for my people alone.
And they can't.
Harlem is mine. Stay the fuck out of it.
And they canceled Luke Cage.
Yeah.
And they can't. Black Panther. All of Wakanda was like, yo, whatever's going on out there, fuck y'all. We stand right here because we get involved. Look what no. And people don't seem to realize. It was like, oh, Black Panther, he's the first black superhero movie. No, Meteor Man. Remember the movie Meteor Man?
Meteor Man.
Right.
Oh, I love
Meteor Man.
Meteor Man.
That's Robert Townsend.
Exactly. In the hood, crime, poverty. He got powers. What's the first thing he did with his powers? He gave him
Like the crackhead houses and everything.
took down the drug dealers. He built a garden for everybody. He wanted to get back to his community. We had black superheroes. Blade was a black man killing white vampires.
Bro.
I was just about to say that.
Black
Blade.
man
Exactly.
killing white vampires. In the second movie, they were one of the white vampires. Ron Palmer was like, "Oh yeah, do you blush?" And Blade was like,
Yeah.
and he smacked them up.
We got all these great characters. It's just like, but we still gotta paint people.
Blade whooped Dracula ass.
Yeah, exactly.
Dracula is not one cracker on Earth stronger than Dracula. And he whooped the elite cracker. And we acted like Black Panther was no. I don't even like Black Panther. I'm like, give me more Blade. He was whooping ass.
Yo,
Mahershala Ali though, he's gonna be a great Blade. I'm looking forward to that.
When I saw that was happening, I was like, y'all really letting like us to get Little Mermaid? Like, why couldn't it be like she is another iteration? Like she fucked with Ariel and everything. I was like, she making her own path. Like, don't even call her Ariel, but like she was fucking Rashonda, fucking Monique or some
But
shit.
the thing is, like, she
Whatever.
got dragged for it. Like, she got called anti-black
It was
for
so
it.
stupid.
And we were
And,
just like, she just wanted more. That's all.
got the,
I guarantee
Yeah,
you.
yeah.
I guarantee you. I predict this.
That's because. Now go ahead. Do your prediction.
Here's the prediction. Because if they ever read the original German iteration of The Little Mermaid, she kills herself at the end.
Oh shit.
Now, here's a prediction. If they put that in the movie, when the little black girl kills herself when she doesn't get to marry the prince, everybody gonna be like, oh, of course they killed the black Ariel. Of course they do it. It's like, dumbass, it's in the fucking original story.
They're gonna make her
It's a
mad
grim
woke for
fairy
the fact
tale.
that she's black.
But check this. Why isn't the love interest in Little Mermaid black?
He's like Spanish or some shit?
He's a cracker. That's what it is. See, they will not show you a strong black relationship, male female relationship. They'll show you. No, Tyler Perry shows you dysfunctional relationships.
Yeah, dude. I was about to say it's like it's always like a mad black woman when it comes to those.
No,
it's
it's
like,
the light skinned man saving a black woman from a dark skinned black man.
And that's what I was gonna say about Gothics. She got it worse because she light skinned. She light skinned and she cute. So they don't like that.
Damn, you set up to fail.
You light skinned and cute? Oh hell no! Get this bitch out of here. and your hair ain't nappy? Oh, she's a white supremacist. And you have that opinion? Oh no, you done. You not black no more.
they get on her too. They're like, oh, she probably dates someone white, and I'm like, I'm dating her.
Yeah, they tried bringing him up, right? They're like, oh, I bet her boyfriend's white, and then someone commented, he's some type of brown or something.
And I'm just like, yeah, what up?
Of brown.
Like,
He's some type of brown.
I was like, I'm not white, right?
So y'all a coon couple.
Yes.
We both have Puerto Rican, have Cape Verdean.
We're the coon couple. I like that.
Man, brother Hotep, you made me more woke, brother. Nah, I have a new perspective on life. I think I might go to become a Hotep, man.
Yeah.
Come on over, man.
I love just the education.
I got so
on
much
everything.
energy on this episode. I have to say, I'm just like, yeah, I'm fucking, let's do this. I like it.
It just solidifies everything that we're doing. Because to be honest, we've lost a lot of like friends and just
They weren't our friends.
I think they were more like acquaintances.
They were never
Like,
I don't want to be involved in these situations. I don't want to be involved in these conversations. You guys do this, you guys do that, and it's just like we're just trying to have an open conversation. People just shut it down the second that they like we interview someone they don't like, or we just talk about something they don't like. It's but this kind of solidifies that we're in the right direction anyway.
Yeah, that's why I say go independent. But I feel bad because like Gothics, gamer, right? You think, hey, I'm playing my PS and, I'm in the gamer community and it's all good. And it's just like one tweet and it's like, you can't game anymore. And it's just like, wait, so you guys only believe one thing and anything outside of that is just not allowed? And so you can't even build a brand in the gamer community. And that's bad. Like we're completely ostracized from society. We're like the new Jews.
I mean,
Jesus.
Yeah, and that's the thing too, is like when BLM and all that shit started, obviously, I have opinions and I'm very vocal about them. And it's just like, it was crazy to see how imbalanced like the streaming community was as far as like how many leftists dominated it and then how many other people were ostracized for just using free thought. So it doesn't, like, at this point, it doesn't quite bother me because like we talked about before, like, if there's something that you enjoy doing that you just don't kind of enjoy doing anymore, I'm kind of at that stage where it's like, I want to experience other stuff. I don't want to just be known as the girl on Twitch who plays video games. I want to experience more. So yeah, I got to get your book too, because this conversation, I need more of that energy. This was good.
Yeah, no doubt. I'm gonna have a sale soon to be half off. But yeah, yo, fucking get a copy, man. I had a psychologist hit me the other day and he said, talking about my book, Dominate Twitter. And he said, I bought courses from people on Twitter, and we're talking about popular people on Twitter and mindset Twitter, I guess you can say. He said, I bought their courses, then I bought their book. And he compared my book, my 100+ page book, to a course. And he said, I've gotten way more out of this book than I did these other courses. This is coming from a doctor.
Wow.
I had another white dude, well-established millionaire guy. And after he read my book, he said, Hotep, I wish I had this when I was 20.
Wow.
Shit.
Because people, when people see me advertise Dominate Twitter, they think they're getting a book on like how to tweet. And there's some of that in there. But what I put in there was 20 years of marketing experience. And if I wanted to, I could reformat the book, take everything out of Twitter, and it would be a book on how to build the ultimate brand using marketing and branding. And I could just sell y'all the same exact product and people wouldn't know the difference. Well, the people who bought Dominate Twitter would be like, hey, this was in the first book, right? But everybody else would go buy it
But some people don't buy Dominate Twitter because they think it's just for Twitter. But really, I did it on purpose. I didn't want the information to get out there like that. And that's why the price is $50. But yeah, it's an amazing piece of material. Really what happened was I thought I still wanted jobs. So I wrote the book because I wanted to establish myself as an authority on marketing. But also, while I'm tweeting, I had all these rules in my head that are happening as I'm tweeting and every day. And I'm like, yo, I got to get this out of my head because it keeps swirling around and it's very distracting. So I just put all the rules of just straight up branding and marketing in the book and why things work. And the way the psychologist described it, he said, my book is very meta. You know, I teach about like the hidden science behind marketing. A lot of people think, oh, post this and make it look like this. And then fuck all that. Like you can go find that free on YouTube. I teach you like the esoteric essence of marketing and why it works so you can build anything you want.
That's dope. That's dope. All right.
I need that book.
I need that book. All right. Well, hell.
Hit me up. Hit me up. Hit me up. I'll send y'all a promo code.
Oh, okay. All right.
Discounts.
All right.
I don't need handouts.
So
I like that. That's some alpha shit right there.
we got similar humor. I dig that. All right. So listen, tell everybody where they can find you.
Just type in Hotep Jesus. Actually, don't do that and Google. Never mind.
Listen, I found some very cool images of you on Google by typing that in. I have to say.
Yeah, if you Google Hotep Jesus, it's like slander article. So don't Google me. And whatever you see out there, I didn't say that. It wasn't me. Can I tell you one more story before I go?
Yeah,
Of course.
So real big leftist media outlet reached out to me and said they want to interview me. And I was like, all right, cool. Come interview me. So it's over the phone. And before we even started, I said, this is off the record. You can't use any of this stuff. So the dude started citing some things I had tweeted in the past. So I'm on the phone. I'm like, what I say? And he's like, you said such and such. So while I'm denying it, I'm like, nah, I ain't say that. I'm typing in exactly. And I'm like, what did I say exactly? So as he's saying, I'm typing it in search and I'm like, delete. So I'm antagonizing him. I'm like, man, you ain't got nothing on me. Da, 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 da. He's like, well, what about this? And I'm like, what I say? Delete. So
That wasn't me.
He does this like 5 times, right? So then we hang up the phone and he DMs me. He goes, you deleted all the tweets. And I just type back, I don't know what you talking about.
Prove it.
Prove that shit, bitch. But he tried to post screenshots and shit like that. But the tweets don't exist, so you could have made up for them.
Exactly.
But you can find me at briansharp.co. That's the best place. BRYANSHARPE.co. Get on my email list. My email list is going to send you 8 emails that gives you an entire rundown from me and all the things I offer.
Awesome. Well, thank you for being on the show. It was a blast.
Thank you so much. This is great.
It's a pleasure.
Yes.
It's a pleasure. I don't get to talk to my folk often. So when they hit me, no matter how big or small, I'm like, yes! My niggas, yes! Do you need anything?
Let me get some sugar.
I love it.
So I appreciate the invite. Anytime you need me, I'm always here.
Awesome. Thank you
That's
so much.
great, man.
Thank you. All right, that is it, everyone. Thank you so much for watching another episode of Subtweet This. Don't forget to hit that subscribe button to get notified when we have another episode, and be sure to check out subtweetthis.com for bonus content. And that's it. We'll see you next week. Bye, everyone.